In the early 1950s, there was a man named Victor Schlonberg who was employed at the Downmarsh scrapyard in the north of England. His job was to cut up old withdrawn steam locomotives so that their components could be scrapped or reused. Schlonberg relished his work. Most people hated the idea of destroying loyal steam locomotives, but Victor Schlonberg thrived on it. In fact, soon it became his hobby. The only problem was, this was the early 1950s. Not many steam locomotives were being scrapped at that time, much to Victor's frustration. To satisfy his craving for destruction, he would secretly sneak into the engine sheds at night and cut out vital parts of working locomotives still in service. Each morning, the bemused railway engineers couldn't understand why their engines wouldn't run, but Victor knew and didn't say a thing. This continued every night for many years, and for a time Victor was satisfied, but it didn't last long. Soon the old feeling returned and he became restless and agitated again. He wanted more. It all started with a clack valve. He'd torn it from a lovely Victorian tank engine which was still in use on the branch line. Rather than scrapping or selling the valve, he fastened it to his stomach using extreme heat, thus fusing it to his body forever. Grim as this may seem to you or I, this felt natural to Victor, and it brought him purpose. During the following decade, the man who used to be Victor Schlonberg ceased to be flesh and bone, and gradually became steel and iron. The man was replacing his own organic body with mechanical, man-made components harvested from old steam locomotives. Humans have free will. They feel emotion and they have a soul. Machines have none of these things. They are pre-programmed to perform a single task, and they perform it endlessly until they wear out or are shut down. As Victor Schlonberg became less man and more machine, his old passion became his sole function. His only purpose was to retrieve components and use them to further develop his own body into an efficient, unfeeling locomotive scrapping machine. In 1969, at midnight, the Scrapman, as he was known to nobody but himself, was involved in a collision. Diesel locomotives now ruled the railways, and Victor's source of new steam locomotive parts was drying up. His mechanical body and mind was beginning to fall into disrepair. It was a diesel locomotive that destroyed the Scrapman. It smashed into him at 75 miles per hour and caused terrible destruction. The driver of the train couldn't explain what had happened. The rubble from the crash told him he'd smashed into another train of some sort, but he'd seen no lights and heard no sound, and there was no evidence of any human driver at the crash site. Here ends the story of the Scrapman, or does it? During a trip to a heritage railway in 2020, I walked along the old railway line. In the hedgerow, I discovered something that would change my life forever. Something that had waited latently for over 50 years. I sensed danger in that object, and I vowed to be the protector of it forever. And that's what I did, and still do, to this day. The Scrapman is still programmed for self-repair. If given the resources it needs, the results could be disastrous.
Sam'sTrains here.